Welcome in, everybody. I'm Devin O'Day. It is Main Street Today time. What is going on in Middle Tennessee? A lot of our regular folks who are always watching, some people are on vacation and some people are checking in. Some people are seeing us on the replay. Leave your comments and be part of our show. Tell people about it. We depend on you. We depend on you to let everybody know that we literally have the beat on what's going on, because Main Street Today is the new media branch of Main Street Media of Tennessee, where we have newspapers all around the mid-state, and we tell the stories of your local communities. And we love hearing. So if you've got a story and you'd like to share it with us, just message me here at Main Street Today. Make sure you click follow. Make sure you click the bell if you're on YouTube and watching us as well, because we want to have you as part of what we do every single day. Don't want you to miss a show. And if you can't see it live, that's the beauty of what we do. We get to share it with you on the replay any time of day or night. If you miss a show, that's okay. They're all archived. You can go back and take a look. We've got a great show with Bobby Tomberlin. He is just one of the best singers, songwriters, and just storytellers I've ever met. So you're in for a treat. But I was in for a treat last Friday. I got to go to the Williamson County Fair, and we covered it, and it is such an experience. Want to share it with you right now. This past weekend, the Williamson County Fair opened their gates to a throng of people. It's just one of the cleanest fairs I've ever been to. If you go to the Williamson County Agricultural Exposition Park, you will find a clean, fun, very well organized experience. Tickets can be bought online to avoid the lines or right there on the premises. There are all sorts of wonderful presentations, florals. Hey, remember that episode of Mayberry RFD when Opie accidentally took down Aunt Bee's prize-winning rose and taped it together? Well, it will be reminiscent as you go through the exhibition hall. Field crops and preserves, and of course, why do we all go to the fair, really? It's the food. Funnel cakes, everything fried. Plus, there's those great big roasted jumbo turkey legs. And of course, fried Oreos and all sorts of good stuff. And the cotton candy is not the only thing kids like. They love the rides. There are things for little kids, and there are wonderful daredevil rides for the big kid who has a little kid inside who still likes to do the most daring things, from slides to roller coasters, and of course, several different Ferris wheels, including one that is very famous we'll tell you about in just a moment. There's so many fun things at the Williamson County Fair, and it's so scenic. And arts and crafts, always a big draw at the Williamson County Fair. And of course, so are the animals. A mama pig with her little piglets, so cute. Get up close and personal with all sorts of chickens and llamas and emus and cows and horses. And don't forget, it is a clear bag policy. Don't take a big bag because you'll have to take it back to the car. Now, the Seattle wheel was actually used in an Elvis Presley movie back in 1962. Y'all come back to the Williamson County Fair. It goes on through the 14th, through this weekend, 6th through the 14th of August. WilliamsonCountyFair.org. Oh, it was so much fun. Every day this week, we're going to have a different aspect of the fair and some special guests that are part of the Williamson County Fair as well. Hey, coming up this Sunday night, Joe Dubin and I are going to be part of something really, really cool, and it is the Taste of Donaldson. The Taste of Donaldson is just fabulous. It is the best restaurants in Donaldson all getting together to share bites. And you can go and get one ticket and just eat to your heart's content. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. The Taste of Donaldson benefits the Donaldson Hermitage Chamber. It's just absolutely a wonderful time. If you've never been to a taste event, oh, you don't know what you're missing. I think it's $30 if you buy in advance. Go to Eventbrite, or you can just go to Taste of Donaldson or go to the Donaldson Hermitage Chamber. And it also benefits a wonderful program to feed children in the Donaldson area who, let's face it, kids go hungry in our neck of the woods, and that is a travesty. And so it's helping kids It's going to take place in the Opry Mills Mall, and it's going to be fantastic. So if you want to go, it's 7 to 9 this Sunday night. Join me, join Big Joe. It's going to be fantastic. Hey, Bobby Tomberlin standing by, but I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek at what you're about to find out.
I just was ate up with music from the very beginning, and it's all I wanted to do. And at age 11, I was a disc jockey. And then after high school, I skipped college and spent a couple of years in Muscle Shoals, then came to Nashville. Mel Tillis gave me my first publishing deal, $100 a week. And then I went to a grocery store for another $100 a week. People like Brooks and Dunn and Patty Loveless, Diamond Rio, they would come through my checkout line, and I had no idea at the time that Diamond Rio would be the ones that changed my life when they recorded this song that I wrote called One More Day. Last night I had a crazy dream. A wish was granted just for me. It could be for anything. I didn't ask for money or a mansion Malibu. I simply wished for one more day with you. One more day, one more time, one more sunset, maybe I'd be satisfied. But then again, I know what head would do. Leave me wishing still one more day with you. First thing I do is pray for time to crawl. And I'd unplug the telephone and I'd keep the TV off. I'd hold you every second and I'd say a million I love yous. That's what I'd do with one more day with you. One more day, one more time, one more sunset, maybe I'd be satisfied. But then again, I know what head would do. Leave me wishing still one more day with you. One more day, one more time, one more sunset, maybe I'd be satisfied. But then again, I know what head would do. Leave me wishing still for one more day. Leave me wishing still for one more day. Leave me wishing still for one more day with you. Thank you so much.
Very recently a guest on Backstage Nashville, which I host every Saturday. It starts at 12:30 at 3rd and Lindsley. It is a matinee show, and it honors our songwriters, which is why I'm involved with it, because this is not Music City to me. It is Songwriter City, and there is a person that actually sat in a room with another person and came up with a song that tells everyone's story. Haven't we all thought, I wish I had one more day, especially after the year we've had? Well, with that, the master storyteller himself, Bobby Tomberlin, is standing by. Let's see. Bobby, how are you?
Well, good morning, Devin. How are you doing?
I'm just doing great. Now you're here. You're here.
I'm here. I'm over at the Curb Word Publishing Conference Room. It's so fancy, can't you tell?
I know. Did you write One More Day with Steve in that building?
I didn't, but just down the road, a couple of buildings from here. Crazy story. He was writing for Island Bound Publishing Company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name the name, but she's a very important person at Warner Brothers. And she left a candle burning, and the building burned down.
I remember that.
So all of the writers at Island Bound ended up moving into this little building. You know, there was like 2 rooms they used as writer rooms, and there happened to be an upright piano that belonged to Roger Cook. You know, Roger.
Oh yeah.
The world to sing. And my co-writer Stephen Dale Jones, I had the first verse. It just kind of fell out. The first verse to One More Day kind of fell out like literally the night before. I was writing with Steve. He was a longtime friend. And when I played him the verse and it ended with "One more day with you," he says, "I'm not a piano player, but you know what? Here's Roger's piano. And I've had this lick forever. Da, da, da. One more day."
Oh.
So if the building hadn't burned down, the song wouldn't be the same.
Isn't it crazy where songs come from? And you've had song after song, but your story starts back in Luverne, Alabama. And you really did love country music from the time you were able to know what music was.
It's the truth. I can't remember a time when it just was my soul, just totally like in my blood. My memories, the 45s, of Glenn Campbell, Merle Haggard, going to the store with my mom, not wanting to go to the toy rack, but begging for a record.
Yes.
Begging for a record. My aunts, uncles, cousins, they tell me when I was like 3 and 4, I'd be at my grandmother's house and they'd have a stack of records and they'd say, "Bobby, go get the Merle Haggard record." And I would literally go, and at that age, I couldn't even talk really. And bring, the record they wanted me to bring them. It was kind of a fun thing.
Well, you took that into, and people don't even believe this story, but you started as a disc jockey at age 11.
I did, in my hometown of Luverne, Alabama. Was just there Friday, celebrating the release of this new song. And it was a 500-watt AM radio station, WLV. And I can still remember going into that station. I remember the first record I queued up.
What was it?
Hank Williams Jr., an album cut. It wasn't even a single off the Hank Jr. and Friends album, a song called Montana Song.
Yes.
That he wrote just before he fell off the mountain. For queuing that up at 11 years old, and it was, so exciting. And then they said, "Well, let's test your voice out." And even at 11 years old, I had kind of a deep voice, and got the gig, and then there was a Billboard magazine resource book there. I noticed a couple of years later, and it had Bobby Bear Enterprises, Eddie Arnold Enterprise, Bill Anderson, Hank Williams Jr., Johnny Cash. And I just called these offices. And that was at a time period where, Hank's doing interviews at 2:00 Wednesday. Let's see, we have a spot 5 minutes at 3:15. And I've got so many of them on cassette. Ray Price. It's just pretty crazy.
Okay, I'm going to get you to do something. What kind of pen did you just hold up? You have a pen in your hand right now.
What does it say? Oh, it's Curb Word.
Okay, I just wondered. I always say, and I've gone back to the 70s. I found these, remember those kind that had all the different ones? But I always say, do you still write with a pen?
I do most of the time. You know what's funny? If I can tell it's going to be a really special song, I'm like, yep, it's a paper day. And look, I thought you were noticing how I was holding the pen. It's really looking, that's the way I hold my pen.
Oh,
Yeah, when I was in kindergarten, the
Mhm.
teacher tried everything in the world to change, make me hold it correctly, wouldn't do it. So to this day, Sam Williams holds his pen like this.
In that kind. Speaking of the Williams family, you've always had a real deep connection with them. When did that start? Because it's an Alabama thing, isn't it?
Well, Hank Sr. was born about 4 miles from where I was born. And everywhere in my hometown, the hardware. Oh, that used to be a theater where Hank and Audrey played. Schoolhouses, the community centers, Chevrolet dealership. He played at the grand opening, and there's pictures of it.
Crazy.
Before he made a big star, he was a regional star.
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery. But anyway, the family, his side, Hank's side of the family, Audrey's side of the family, they were down there. And it's really interesting. When I was 11 years old, started working at the radio station, the very first week, his first cousin, Edna, stopped by and brought me a milkshake and was advertising the Hank Williams Festival. And from that week on, all the way through high school, she and her husband would come by like on every Wednesday or Thursday and bring me a milkshake from the chicken shack. And from there, they would invite me to Montgomery to these get-togethers. And I met Merle Kilgore and then I met other family members.
Merle Kilgore.
And then this cousin led me to the radio station. I was going to work at another radio station after high school. She says, no, you need to go to this station in Andalusia, Alabama. I'm going to introduce you to the manager. I'm like, no, I'm already. And I'd given up on my songwriting dream. I'd been to Nashville one time and thought, no, I just don't think I just didn't have the courage. And so anyway, I said, okay, I'll ride down with you to this other radio station. We walk in, and there just happens to be a guy by the name of Billy Henderson who's taking care of his parents for a few months. And he had already had hits in Muscle Shoals at Rick Hall's publishing company, but he took a leave for about 4 months. And there he was. They hired me. I worked on the AM side. He worked on the FM side. It renewed my dream of songwriting. And I started pitching him ideas. And he became my songwriter mentor. So I thank Hank's cousin for leading, God, for leading, for them to lead me.
Well, I'm going to play the new song because it really is your story encapsulated into 3.5 minutes. It's this song, I've Lived Country Music, is so personal, but you know what? It's your story, but it's my story too. And anybody that's ever come to Nashville with a dream.
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't trying to write a song when I wrote this. I've been so blessed. And about 4 years ago, I guess, Loretta Lynn was having her 4th of July. I was asked to sing a Conway and Loretta song with her. And I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it. The morning after, I was kind of sat there thinking of it. I couldn't believe it because I'd seen Loretta and Conway as a kid in Montgomery. And then I started thinking about other things, and the song just kind of wrote itself.
Oh, wow. Well, we're going to give a listen. You hang on there because I think everybody is going to be blessed by this song.
Thank you.
Down in Alabama, in a 2 red light town, my world revolved around the radio. And in my little bedroom, the Opry came alive. And in my mind, I was on the front row. I counted down the years till I could drive that old highway to the city where all my dreams could come true. There's been a lot of hard times, but they were all worth it as I look back at all the things I've got to do. Well, I sang with Loretta, wrote songs with Whispering Bill. I even got to play Hank's guitar. Rode the roads with little Jimmy, shook hands with Johnny Cash. Funny how a dream can take you far. I poured my heart and soul into it. Yes, I've lived country music. I sold groceries to Conway Twitty when I first came to Nashville, and Mel Tillis paid my rent. I got to tell Merle Haggard how much his songs meant to me. I swear his words were heaven sent. I was at the Ryman with Bo Cephas in a small room with Glenn Campbell. He played Galveston and I sang along. Had a smoke with Christopherson. Willie Nelson sang my song. I hung out with old George Jones at his home. I poured my heart and soul into it. Yes, I've lived country music. Ate biscuits and gravy with Porter Wagner. Wrote a song with Bobby Bear. Heard Phil Everly sing Dream in his living room. Was with Eddie Arnold in his last days. I played on the Opry stage, and I could feel the spirit of Hank Williams in that room. I've given my heart and soul to it. Yes, I've lived country music. Yes, I've lived country music. Yes, I've lived country music. And I've lived country music.
Okay, I got the big squall and tears. That gets me, and I left sweet Tess's heart up just for you.
Oh,
I love me some Tess Frizzell, and she's very, very special. Golly, what a talent! She can sing. Woo!
great songwriter too.
Yes, absolutely. Steve Burney checking in. Wow, what a great song! It is something how something can be so personal and yet touch our heart so deeply. Annie, awesome. And you're welcome, sweet Tess. She and I got to have dinner together at the Donaldson Hermitage Gala on the General Jackson, and it was so wonderful to sit across from her and share some stories.
Well, she has country music history.
Phew, does she not?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I was a disc jockey at age 11. Well, hey, look at this baby picture of Willie Nelson holding me.
I'm telling you, isn't that the truth? Dottie West, her grandmother, and Alan Frizzell, her dad, correct?
Yeah, Shelley, her mother, Lefty, David, her uncle.
I mean, she's lived country music in a whole different way than you have or I have. I mean, she was born into it in a very special way, and you guys make beautiful music together. I'm hearing your voices together. When I do encourage everybody, if you can ever hear Bobby live, do go see Bobby. And if you get the double pleasure of seeing he and Tess sing together, whoo, have mercy. Y'all sing so well together. You know, some voices just blend extra special good. Y'all do.
I agree. I mean, feel it. You can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of people that are in some of those pictures that I wanted to ask you about. Now, there's one very special to me. I know that you've got a story about this feller right here, Mr. Bobby Bear.
Bobby was one of those guys as a kid. I was just a huge fan, you know, Hank Sr., of course, Junior, Waylon. I mean, I can't even start naming names. I mean, Haggard. I mean, you know how many icons? They were icons when they were having hits.
Yeah.
Bobby Bear was one of those guys that I connected with his music, and I literally bought records and tapes. And And, you know, he's the one that got way
Mhm.
RCA. But anyway, I just, I first met Bobby when I was a sound engineer for Bill Anderson. And we didn't like hit
Wait a minute. You were a sound engineer for Bill Anderson?
that.
No.
Yeah, for like 3.5 years back, like 1998 through 2001. I had come to town. Mel Tillis gave me my first publishing deal, $100 a week. I went to a Kroger and worked for another $100 a week. And then I started writing with Bill. And one day, I'll never forget it, he just says, "Would you like to be my sound engineer?" And I said, "Well, I'm not a technical person." But he says, "But you know what it's supposed to sound like, and there will be technical people there with the equipment." And I always mix the show just like a record. I'd turn those faders, you know, slide them up when it was the steel solo or the fiddle or whatever. But anyway, met Bobby, met Little Jimmy, Jeannie Seeley, and so many of those people from the Opry through working with Bill. But Bobby Barron, but didn't know him really. But just a few years ago, we kind of connected, and I just said, "You want to write a song?" And we did, and we've written like a couple, and we've done some shows at the Bluebird, and I just love the man. He's amazing.
Really, really special guy. And Bobby Bear and Friends was a show that was being taped live. I lived on Music Row when I first moved to Nashville, and they taped it right next to me in a studio called Bullet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's where they did Bobby Bear and Friends, and that's where I got to meet him, and he had everybody in there. It was crazy. And then this is another one of my favorite pictures of you hugging Larry Gatlin. I'm telling you.
Oh, that was at the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame where he was inducted, he and his brothers.
So sweet, so sweet. And of course, I want to remind everybody that I've Lived Country Music is available now. It's on iTunes. Get it. You know what? There are a lot of people who've sung your music, Bobby Tomberlin, but I like the way you sing your songs.
Well, that's such a compliment. I mean, it really is. Thank you. Because for years, I kind of thought, well, I don't know. I wouldn't even sing any of my demos. You know what? I'm going to be totally honest with you. One of my first, not my first publisher, Mel Tillis was great, but I had a plugger. I don't bash people. I'm not going to name names, but he literally threw my CD against the wall and told me, "I'll never play any of your music for anyone as long as you're singing it." I can't believe I'm telling that, because I usually don't put any bad energy, but I'm just telling you that really played with my head. It was
oh my gosh. Well,
and then I started, and immediately after I landed a gig on CMT and the band for the singing bee, and everybody's like, "Oh man, you sing the Hank Jr., Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard." Then I started doing shows, and I said, "Well, I must not be terrible." But isn't it funny? And from that day, I'm like, no one person is going to really mess with my head. Nobody's going to. You have to believe in yourself. Everybody has an opinion, but that was brutal to me when he did.
It's cruel, and we all carry that one voice that nags away at our head and affects our confidence. And so anybody watching today, that's a write it down moment. You have to believe in yourself, and don't let that one voice defeat you.
I was glad to share that, because I feel like maybe there are people out there that's maybe.
I am so glad that you did. I'm so glad that you did. Before we get out of here, and I know I'm going to take it a little bit longer today, but I don't think people are always leaving comments like crazy. So I just wanted to ask you, what was it like to sell groceries to one of my favorite people, Conway Twitty?
Well, I had been in radio my whole life. So when I came to Nashville, good luck getting a radio gig. So I had to do something, and I ended up at Kroger, and it was the Kroger in Belmead. And Diamond Rio, never dreamed they would be the ones that really, really kicked my music career off. The people like Diamond Rio, Brooks and Dunn, Patty Loveless, C. Hill, Andy Williams came through my checkout line.
Oh my gosh.
I was in town doing a record for Curb, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyway, Conway Twitty would eat at the Belmead buffet. Do you remember over there?
Yes. Oh yes.
Been there for years. It's not. Mm-hmm. But he would eat on Wednesday evening and then walk over, and man, he'd walk in that Kroger, and over in Belmead, they're not impressed with the country music singers. But when Conway Twitty walked in, these older ladies would just stop, and a lot of them would run over to him for autographs. And
how cute.
But he was just kind, very quiet, but I always got a kick out of it. I'm like, oh, it's Conway night. It's Conway.
Conway night at the Bell Mead Kroger. I just love that. He was a very much an encourager to a lot of songwriters in this town. He believed in the songwriter as few artists actually do anymore. There are a few. I mean, Tim McGraw is a big proponent for songwriters. George Strait has bought more songwriters' homes than anybody, including me. So I'm really grateful to those people. But Conway was always an encourager for people who wrote songs. He really honored the songwriter.
I hate that I didn't get to know him or really, spend some quality music time around him, but he was very kind.
But you certainly have been a mainstay around the Grand Ole Opry, enough to write the Song of Songs, and probably one of my very favorites of yours. Has not won you Song of the Year yet, but you really wrote the theme song for the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow, well, that's huge coming from you. It's the Grand Ole Opry, as a kid, I was really that kid that listened to the Ernest Tubb Midnight Jamboree. My mom, okay, it's time to go to bed. I would sneak that radio and listen.
Same.
I listened to the Grand Ole Opry. I remember very well as a kid hearing Loretta Lynn sing Coal Miner's Daughter, and Ernest Tubb and Roy Acuff and Little Jimmy. And, always kind of wanted to write a song about it. And then J.P. Williams and I got together one day, and lo and behold, it just came out. First time I ever met J.P. over at Major Bob Publishing. And that song's very special to me. It wrote itself. And like I said, I was Bill Anderson's sound engineer, so I was there almost any weekend that we weren't on the road. He was at the Opry. So I was there. I look at that as just some of the most special days because so many of those icons were still alive at that point. We're talking 98 through 2001. And then little Jimmy Dickens became like a little granddad to me in the last year or two of his life when he didn't drive out to the Opry any longer. So if I were in town, I would drive him, and I drove him to his very last show at the Rhine. And you know what? I'm going to share this with you. On the way there, he looked at me. I can just still see just every inch of his face. He looked at me and he said, Bobby, you don't know about missing someone until you've missed someone for over 60 years. He said, I miss Hank Williams as much today as I did in 1953. Wow. And for some reason, that really got to me.
Big tears. Powerful. And the stories and knowing the people that bring us those songs that have been in the texture of our lives. And I know that people, if you, I'm not even ashamed. I'm just having the squally cry today because that's what a great songwriter does. They tell great stories. And thank you for your time today. We're going to close with your Grand Ole Opry song. And it's because I'm going to start crying now and all my mascara is going to go down my face.
Can I stop, though, and say thank you for your support? You have been so supportive of me and had me on, all different shows through the years, and you've just been nothing but kind, and thank you.
Well, that's what happens when you're a huge fan and when you really love somebody, and I really love you, Bobby Tomberlin, and I hope everybody goes and gets I've Lived Country Music and do a deep dive. Get everything that you can get with Bobby Tomberlin's name on it. Just go get it. And you're on stage on this clip. It's with Mo Pitney, who's a traditionalist that everybody also needs to follow.
Love that guy.
He's a real deal. Well, I'm going to say bye to everybody. Be safe, be kind. Remember, you are loved. And Bobby, you remember you're loved too. You take care, all right?
Out there.
Bye.
I love that, Mo. Don't you love it when they fall out? Like
yes,
that?
And it did. I had to pick it up off the ground. I'm glad it didn't break.
No, that's a great one. That's a great one. Well, I was one of those kids that I actually listened to the Grand Ole Opry. I did. I didn't watch it. I listened to it. Didn't hear it online. That wasn't happening when I was growing up. I actually had that little radio, where you'd have to turn it upside down and sideways, and the signal just never was that clear.
I found out if you stood on your head, it came in clearer.
Well, I tried that. That's what's wrong with me. Oh, too many hours spending on my head. But I wanted to hear, I wanted to hear the little Jimmy. I wanted to hear the Loretta. Anyway, I always wanted to write a song about the Grand Ole Opry, and just a few years ago, thank you, a few years ago, this wonderful guy by the name of J.P. Williamson and I got together, and we wrote this, and recently I was really honored to be on this show, Country's Family Reunion. I don't know if any of you watched that on RFD, and Mo was on there. He's been on there many times, but I got to sing this song, and I'd love to do it for you tonight, simply called The Grand Ole Opry. I was born on one November night back in 1925. Millions would invite me in to their living room like some old friend. I remember it like it was yesterday. First time I crossed the radio waves, I was introduced by George D. Hay. He'd say, "Let her go, boys, and the fiddles play." And they say that I'm the one that made country music what it is today. But it really wasn't me. It was the stars that graced my stage. I'm alive and well as I can be. I'm the Grand Ole Opry. And Hank Williams used to visit me. Some of my favorite memories, and what I'd give for just one more time to hear the voice of Patsy Cline. And they say that I'm the one that made country music what it is today. But it really wasn't me. It was the stars that graced my stage. I'm alive and well as I can be. I'm the Grand Ole Opry. I'm just so proud to be here, y'all. Here's the Wabash Cannonball, and the coal miner's daughter's as good as it gets. And the circle ain't been broken yet. No, the circle ain't been broken yet. And they say that I'm the one that made country music what it is today. But it really wasn't me. It was the stars that graced my stage. I'm alive and well as I can be. I'm the Grand Ole Opry. Thank you.